but I like the Avalanche. I think that they will end up as the favorite against Pittsburgh, and I don't mind it as high as -125. Colorado is coming. Like, they are getting healthy. They're playing well. Nichushkin's back. Like you said, Bowen Byram's back. They sprinkled in some depth with Matt Nieto up front. I think he's actually a good piece for them just to kind of buy time until the rest of the bodies get there. And they were playing so well going down into the All-Star break, whereas this Penguins team, they went on that 15-3-3 rip. If they started slow, they went on their annual, holiday time run where they put themselves in a comfortable spot, and since then they've been bad. So they've had two really poor stretches. They've had one really good stretch. I think that this team is closer to mediocre than good, and their goaltending right now is a huge concern. And I think one to kind of talk about the implications of this Bo Horvat trade, the Islanders make that move, and Pete Jensen, who we co-host a Monday show with on NHL.com with one of the co-hosts, asked about if Horvat gives the Islanders any value, like, to make the playoffs, and they're like around 3-1. And I think the reason I actually like the yes bet is that the it's more a bet against the Penguins, I think, than anything else. That I think that this team shouldn't be odds on to make the playoffs right now. It should be closer to a coin flip or whatever. I just don't think that they're good enough to absorb the adversity of losing Tristan Jarry and having Casey DeSmith's form go completely out the window. Their depth up front is not great. So this is a team that I'm happy to bet against, and they're getting too much respect because they are the Pittsburgh Penguins. So I think that this team is a fade until further notice. And one thing about that trade as well is, like, the Penguins have a big need up front, right? They need to get deeper, scoring wise, and just their forward ranks need to get deeper. Losing Jarry means that they now also have to trade for a goalie, basically. Like, they need to get a goalie in to save them. They can't do what they did last year. Imagine the Penguins going into the playoffs and Dustin Tokarski it would be getting minutes. Like, you can't do that after what happened last year. So they're going to have to spend their capital, which they don't have much on a goalie rather than a forward now. So it's just like, this team, there's a lot that could go wrong for this team. I could see it being really ugly for Pittsburgh the second half, and coming out of the gates playing the Colorado Avalanche is not what I think they wanted to have.
Yeah, I like the no on the Penguins. I didn't like the yes on the Islanders. I'm sure you will let me know about that if I'm wrong, because I just think it's too competitive with the other teams that can get in. I still think Florida will make it really close. Buffalo are in there despite the tough schedule. I would love to not see the Capitals drop out, but that's definitely a possibility. But there's enough teams in the mix that it scares me. But that works towards the Penguins' point for sure. So yeah, I like that look as well.
And your best bet, we're going back to our new favorite team, a team that we've completely turned the tables on here. I think it has more to do with their opponent than anything else, though.
Yes, and this one I'll give an asterisk because the lines have already moved so much. So I like the Edmonton Oilers to win in regulation. It's going to be such a chalky play. I bet the standard money line gets to even -180 by tomorrow, but their process has looked so much better. They had the second best expected goals against per 60 in January. This is a team that traditionally has fought through fairly shaky defensive play and still gotten by. I know the Campbell situation's still a little concerning in goal, not really compared to what Detroit has, but everything looks a lot better. Like, I'm starting to think, like, I actually posted a futures article with action on them winning the Western Conference at 8-1, which I think is a really solid look right now, just because the West looks so bad that the path is going to be excellent. And I actually think now, despite the fact that I've always kind of talked shit about them being flawed, they're less flawed than most of the other sides. And then they're going to be playing McDavid and Draisaitl crazy minutes like they did last year and just riding their coattails. So they'll still be an underdog if they get into a series with a healthy Avalanche team. But I think the price is there to back them because, if you're going to, like, I think their chances of getting to that West final are so high. You could say they're probably right there with any team in the league in terms of chance of getting to the Final Four, just because of what the path is going to be and the fact that they now actually look pretty well-rounded. So it's a bit of a scary spot coming out of the break. Um, but I still like it. It's just they
Yeah.
have so many guys in form that can take advantage of Detroit, and they're looking so much sharper in all areas of the ice. So I like a play backing them to win this one in regulation.